Peace and love, you beautiful miracles with a spiritual level of being. Nathan here from a spiritual level of being, and today I want to discuss resurrection stories and the myths and gods associated with them. Now, I want to discuss Baal, a fertility and storm deity, whose father was El or Eliam. In some stories, his mother was Asherah. Asherah was also his consort in some stories or traditions, and in some traditions or stories, she was his mother and lover. Now, when El was looking for a replacement, because he's seen that gods within cycles change and other people start worshipping other deities and roles change. Now, Baal is swallowed up by Mot and is buried, but later ascends to the throne alive and victorious. This is a resurrection story, becoming the head of the gods in a sense. He was later replaced with Yahweh, his brother, because their roles were so similar. Now, Yahweh was a warrior and storm deity. Baal was also associated with this, but except Baal was associated with fertility. Now, Yahweh's associated with fertility came from Asherah. Now, this could also be the same with Baal, being associated with Asherah, who was the mother goddess. So, these traditional stories had Yahweh being the lesser deity and having brothers and sisters and being the sons and daughters of El. The god of the underworld of Egypt, Osiris. Now, Osiris was killed by his jealous brother Set and then chopped into tiny pieces. His wife, Isis, would gather up these body parts and then resurrect her husband Osiris. And he would then become god of the underworld. Now, obviously, we also have Jesus, Yeshua, or Joshua, whichever you prefer to use. Now, he was nailed to, in some stories, a cross or a tree, and he died and then was resurrected after 3 days, appearing to his disciples and telling them to spread the good news. Now, he was the ultimate sacrifice in a sense for humanity's sins, or in some stories, including to the Gnostics, to wake your ass up, to realise your own divine spark within yourself to become like Christ yourself. Odin, the All-Father, or the god of war and death in Norse and ancient Germanic mythology. Now, he hangs himself to a tree and stabs himself with a spear, so similar to Jesus in a sense, and he forbids the other gods from helping him, and he hangs there for 9 days, and he does this in order to obtain knowledge of other worlds and to be able to understand runes, so being a sacrifice for himself by himself. The Sumerian goddess Inanna, goddess of love, war and fertility. She is killed by the goddess Ereshkigal, and she is eventually hung on a hook. She was stripped naked and then hung on a hook, and she was revived with the water of life and the food of life. So this is still a resurrection story in a sense, though the story is completely different to Jesus in a sense because she was trying to obtain the throne. Now, these stories of resurrection have evolved throughout the centuries, and there's many such tales of resurrection. And resurrection is really to be taken symbolically. And mystery schools were practicing symbolic rituals of, say, being in a coffin for 3 days. And they would come out and they would be told to explain their experiences and what they've seen. Maybe they'd have a high priest or an oracle decipher the visions they've seen or interpret its meanings, or they would ask them to interpret the meanings that they felt within them. So this was essentially being reborn again. So baptism essentially is also being taken as a resurrection in a sense of yourself. So being reborn in a sense. So your life is about constant rebuilding yourself. Peace and love, everyone. I love you all. Connect till one. Let love guide your actions. Namaste.